Hello everyone, this is the third lesson of Chapter 1, Multiply and Divide Monomials. In this lesson, you will use properties of exponents by multiplying and dividing monomials to simplify real number expressions. I wonder if this is your first time learning or hearing about the monomials. A monomial could be many different things, where it could be a number, a variable, or a product of a number and one or more variables. For example, a number could be like 5. A variable like x, or a product of number and one or more variables. So if I multiply them, you could have 5x. This is still monomial, or you could have more than one variable in here. So you could have 5xy, or I could add a little bit more using exponents like what we learned in last lesson. So in here, I could write 5xy squared if I need to. These are all examples of monomials. As moving forward, we'll be talking about few laws of exponents. The first one we're going to talk about is a product of powers. In order to multiply powers with the same base, you will simply add the exponents to simplify. The reason is because let's say if you have the a to the nth power times a to the nth power. Using some numbers, if you had 3 squared times 3 to the 4th power, this is saying that you have 3 2 times for the first one, where for the second one, they're saying you have 3 4 times. And now in between them, there is a multiplication. So if you want to find how to multiply them, it's simply that you are just calculating how many 3's are you multiplying. So in here, my base still be the same as 3, where you are multiplying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3's. So it becomes 3 to the 6th power. Isn't that the same when you're just adding 2 plus 4? And that's how they know that if you have the same base, and keep in mind this only works if you have the same base. If you have the same base, I'm just simply going to add those two exponents to evaluate or simplify. Let's look at a couple examples. They're asking you to simplify using the law of exponents. The one way is you literally calculate what's 5 squared times 5. However, in this case, they're not asking you to evaluate. They're just asking you to simplify using the law of exponents, such as if you have the same base. I'm saying you have 5 2 times, so 5 times 5, and then at the end you will have another 5 with this one. Overall, how many 5's are you multiplying? The answer is 3 times, so I'm going to write 5 cubed, and that's the answer of number 1. Here's number 2. What if I'm using the variables? The variables should be the same because if I have c cubed, that means I'm having c multiplied 3 times, and then you have the next one is c to the 5th power right here. So c multiply 5 times. In between them, they're saying you're going to multiply. So if I multiply these two, overall, you're just multiplying all of them using the same base. c to the how many times? 8 times, and either you could have just counted, or you can just add 3 plus 5, I will get 8. I hate when students saying that we have to memorize so many formulas for math. Personally, I was never a fan of memorizing things. So in here, if you understand what I mean by the exponent and just expanding it, you'd be able to find how to simplify. The law of exponents are just to help you to solve it a little bit quicker and without reducing all the work that you have to do. If you saw the last video, you'd know what I'm talking about as if you had x to the 100th power. Number 3, what if you have some numbers in front? This is the very common question that people get confused. In here, the numbers in front, which we call a coefficient, the coefficient will be just the same as what you've done before. They're saying that you multiply, so you multiply. Negative 3 times 4, I should get negative 12. When it comes to the powers, so you see the x squared and x to the 5th power, they both have x, which is the same base. In this case, keep the base where I have x twice times x 5th times. Overall, you're having x to the 7th power. So that's how I know negative 12 x to the 7th power will be my answer. Few more examples. Again, you're not asked to evaluate. I just want to simplify. So in here, 9 to the how many times total? I'll get 5 since you're adding 3 plus 2. And in here, 8 to the 5th power. Do you see how fast this can be done? Part C looks slightly different because now they are having parentheses. In this case, the parentheses is showing you that you need to multiply. If this is confusing you, try to separate them. So do with -2 times -8 first, where negative times negative become positive, and then you will have 2 times 8 is 16. When it comes to the power, so in here you have m with m to the 5th power. Think about when you have m with m to the 5th power like this. You are having m total of 6 times that you're multiplying. So that's how I know your answer will be 16 m to the 6th power, and that's how you finish it. Now, in case that you have to divide, in order to divide powers with the same base, you're going to subtract their exponents. Also, you need to know what I mean by quotient. I normally explain a quotient is how you write as a fraction or using a division. And here's a reason why you can subtract. Let's say you have 5 to the 7th power over 5 to the 4th power. By using the definition of exponent, 5 to the 7th power means you have 5 how many times? 7 times. Over, you're going to have 5 to the 4th power, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now, when you're simplifying, imagine that when you are having 5 over 5. What's 5 over 5 equal to? This becomes 1. So, in this case, I'm going to simplify, see if I have the same on numerator and denominator. So here's 5 over 5. They can reduce to become 1. 5 over 5, 5 over 5, 5 over 5. What's remaining? I got remained with 5 to the 3rd power, and which means you could have simply subtract the exponents. So 7 minus 4, I still get 3. Again, I don't want you to memorize anything, so let's practice by expanding it until we get used to. And then if you want to solve it a little bit quicker, then you can apply these rules. In here, simplify using the law of exponents. So there is, again, difference between simplifying or evaluating. Simplify is literally to make it a little bit shorter, but it's okay to use exponents. When I say evaluate, you are giving me a one number by calculating using 4 math operations. In here, number 4, 4 to the 8th power over 4 squared means you have 4 8 times on the numerator over you have 4 twice on the denominator. Using the same concept of when you simplify, 4 over 4 becomes 1, 4 over 4 becomes 1. Now, how many 4s do you have? In here, you have 4 to the 6th power, which can be written as when you had just 4 to the 8 minus 2. If you just subtract them, you'd realize that I still get 4 to the 6th power, and that's how I know this is my answer. Number 5, this time we're going to use the variable. So if you have n 9th time over if you have n 4th times. I try to fast forward so that way you guys don't have to wait until I write all of them. But imagine that you're writing all of this, and if the number were bigger than 9 or 4, it's going to take more time for you. So in this case, if you simplify n over n, all of them will become 1 when they are matching. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, n to the 5th power. This could be found when you had n to the 9th power minus 4, I still get 5. And that's how I know this will be my answer. What if I give you a little bit more complicated work? This example is showing you that you can only simplify if you had the same base. You'd realize that in here you're looking at 3 different bases. What are they? The first one is 2, the next one 3, and then 5. When you simplify, you can only simplify 2 with the 2, 3 with the 3, and 5 with the 5. In here, let me write it down. Since I know that the answer has to do with the 2 times 3 times 5, and those are my bases, 5 minus 2, I will get 3. 5 minus 4, I will get 1. 5 squared minus, well, how many 5s do you have right here? I know that it's not written as the exponent, but there is 1 hidden. So if you subtract them, you have to do 2 minus 1, which I will get 1. In general, we don't really write 1 as a power, because if you had 3 to the 1 power, this is just same as 3. So in here, if I simplify, I will get 2 cubed times 3 times 5, and this is a simplified expression of number 6. These are the practice problems that you can try. In here, I will do the quicker way. So if you know that they have the same base, my base will be same, where 7 minus 4, I should get 3. Do you see how quick this could be done? And where part E, this becomes x to the 7th power. Now, part F, when you are dividing with a number in front of the variables, you will be using an operation as what is shown for the coefficients. When I have 12 over 2, this is the same as when you do 12 divide by 2. I will get 6, where you have w to the 5th power over w. So if you had w 5 times over 1w, these are the only pair that they can reduce. So you will still have w to the 4th power, and that's going to be my answer. These look complicated, however, it's just combining 3 problems at once. So for example, in here, part G, you will have 3, 5, and 7 as your basis. Where 3, 4 minus 2, I'll get 2. 2 minus, not 0, remember there is 1. So 2 minus 1, I will get 1, where I don't have to write it because we already know there's 1, 5. 5 minus 3, I will get 2. So 3 squared times 5 times 7 squared, this is going to be my answer. The third example over here, when you have negative, do you see how they are still putting the parentheses? So I will do the same. If I had negative 2 as my base, you have 5 times on top where 2 times on the denominator. So 5 minus 2, I will get 3. When you have 3 4 times over 3 1 time on the bottom, then you will get 3 cubed times, if you have 5 7th power over 5 to the 4th power, you will get 5 to the 3rd power, and this is going to be my answer. The last example, number 7. Hawaii's total shoreline is about 2 to the 10th power miles long. New Hampshire's shoreline is about 2 to the 7th power miles long. About how many times longer is Hawaii's shoreline than New Hampshire's? I want to compare these by calculating how many times longer. If I want to find out how many times longer, you're going to use inverse operation, such as inverse of times are going to be division. So we're going to divide them. I'm going to divide the Hawaii's shoreline over New Hampshire's. Let me just write NH. In this case, Hawaii's number were 2 to the 10th power. So definitely Hawaii is longer, where the New Hampshire has only 2 to the 7th power. If you do not remember the rules, of course, you can expand it, write 2 10 times over here, write 2 7 times over here, and simplify. Or I could use, since they have the same base, I keep the base where you're just subtracting 10 minus 7. In this case, you will get 2 to the 3rd power remaining, and now I just need the unit since it's a real life problem. So 2 to the 3rd miles will be my answer. If you want to evaluate this could be also written as 2 cubed is 8. So 8 miles will be also my alternative answers. This is the end of the lesson. Thanks for learning with me. If you have any questions, please leave a comment.